Hi, I'm Merrill Reese, voice of the Philadelphia Eagles.
This is Brandon Graham.
This is Brian Dawkins.
My name is Connor Barwin.
This is Mike Quick.
Hey guys, Jake Elliott.
My name is Brian Westbrook.
My name is Brent Celek.
And we're here today to look at, to dissect, and to relive some of the greatest moments that have ever taken place at Lincoln Financial Field. January 23rd, 2005, the NFC Championship Game.
One of the best eras of football in Philadelphia happened to be the Andy Reid era, the Donovan McNabb at quarterback era.
So this was our fourth year in a row going to the NFC Championship Game.
That's one of the worst feelings, to be able to play well enough to get to the championship game that's going to take you to the Super Bowl and then not being able to win those games.
You know, the feeling around Philadelphia, to be honest with you, was, okay, we know you can do these things. What you going to do when you get to that last game?
This was our year. This was our opportunity to make it into the Super Bowl.
24 years we've been waiting.
And there's the Axeman, Trotter, and Brian Dawkins, Chad Lewis.
Let's go. Make it your day.
So this is Donovan doing like a Randall Cunningham. And he's got all these bodies around him, but somehow he's able to get rid of all of these people and just make an unbelievable play. And as scary as Michael Vick was during that era, this defense did an unbelievable job of bottling him up, and that was huge.
Everybody was talking about Atlanta's defense. So in my mind, I kept hearing disrespect. You telling me that this team is going to come into our house and beat us in Philadelphia, and we're going to lose here again in Philadelphia? That's not happening. So in my mind, somebody was going to have to pay for that. And it just so happened to be a good man, Algie.
Now over the middle, Crumpler, what a throw, what a hit, what a catch.
He hit him so hard. I don't know if the Crumpler came back in the game later on.
I was surprised he held on to the rock. Like, that's a tough dude.
That was the hit that set the tone for the game. I mean, he barely got up.
Safety to move.
To set that message that if you come across the middle at any point down in the game, this is probably was waiting for you.
In the fourth quarter, the Eagles put the game away.
McNabb rolled out. He looked, he fired, and it was complete. And coming up with the touchdown, Chad Lewis.
You're going to see him celebrate, but he doesn't get up. He ended up spraining his foot. He's out for the Super Bowl.
Sitting in the booth, you have to kind of control yourself, but it's one of those moments when, as an analyst, I start to lose it because I know the magnitude of that particular play.
The fans were absolutely out of their minds.
This was one of those moments where you're saying, finally we did it. Finally we made it to the Super Bowl.
I picked up the phone to call my son. As he picked up the phone, he was crying. He said, "Dad, I can't believe this." To this day, I remember that emotional moment.
For the happiest days of my life.
We're able to raise this trophy. It was pretty awesome. One of the greatest moments in Eagle history.
January 29th, 2023. The NFC Championship Game. The 49ers were feared by a lot of people.
Brock Purdy was sort of the story of the year. I don't think he had lost a game since he became the starter.
So there was reason to worry about the 49ers. Personally, I didn't think it would be close.
The Eagles are 14-3 during the season. The San Francisco 49ers 13-4.
That San Francisco defense.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of questions about San Francisco's defense and how we would do against that defensive front.
This Eagles defense was good. This Eagles offense was better than the 49ers defense.
He is firing the football, and it is caught by Devontae Smith.
Nobody makes more circus-like catches than Devontae Smith.
I remember this play
Up the middle, touchdown.
going into the game. There was this question about our offensive line, their defensive line. There wasn't a lot of talk, if I'm wrong, about our defensive line, their offensive line. And then early in the game, you see, what our offensive line did, running the ball and really sort of dominating and setting the tone from the beginning.
On second down, the give goes to Sanders.
You can see those guys, a wide open lane to the end zone for Miles, and then Kelsey doing the dance.
Whatever chance the 49ers had went out the window when Hassan Reddick, on a perfectly clean play, hit Brock Purdy, injuring his elbow, putting him out of the game, and then they went to the backup quarterback, Josh Johnson, who came in and did whatever he could, which was next to nothing.
Final score, the Eagles 31, the 49ers 7.
As this game ended, all I could think to say was, attention, air traffic control. A flock of eagles is headed for Arizona.
And for me, I'm thinking the whole time, holy we're going to the Super Bowl. But the feeling was of joy. But I think the first 4 people I congratulated, every single one of them said one more game. And so that made me think like, damn right, like this is awesome, but this is not it. We're here to win a Super Bowl.
The message the Eagles delivered was that they could stay with any team, including the great Kansas City Chiefs. That they felt that they were the best team in the National Football League.
December 28th, 08, Week 17 versus the Cowboys.
It wasn't the greatest of seasons. Obviously, there was a lot of ups and downs. But going into the last game, we still had a chance.
The Eagles entered their final regular season game in need of outside help to make the playoffs.
We needed 2 teams to win in order for us to even have an opportunity to get in. We were all in the locker room just watching those 2 games, and I just remember the improbable was happening.
The football gods obliged.
The Texans defeated the Bears that day. The Raiders, they upset Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
As soon as that happened, I just felt like there's no way we're losing this game.
A winner-take-all battle for the NFC's last wild-card spot. Their foe was a familiar one.
And it's the Dallas Cowboys. And of course, we hate the Dallas Cowboys.
This is my last game as an Eagle playing in the league.
Give me what you got. Domination, snot bubbles, crazy eyes, whatever. Let's dominate this thing.
And so Dawkins had one of his fiery speeches before games, but I think this was one of his best. He said, give me what you got. I want snot bubbles. You know what snot bubbles are? He wants you hitting people so hard that you see snot bubbles come out of their nose.
It still gives me chills listening to him talk.
He throws, complete, touchdown, Brent Celek.
Now, I remember that touchdown. That was just like a gimme. I felt like that was a play that we would always run. We're real close to the goal line. Play action pass, run in the corner. I just knew it's going to be a touchdown.
When people ask me, what is my perfect play? It has always been for me to hit somebody, my teammate pick it up, and he scores. That's my perfect play. And it just so happens in this game, I was blessed to be a part of 2 perfect plays.
Back goes Romo. He steps up. He's hit. It's fumbled.
And it was picked up. And a touchdown as the Eagles score again.
When Chris Clemens took that ball back to the house, I knew, like, we're not losing this. I mean, I felt like that at the beginning of the game, but even more so right in that moment.
This defense is just way too much for the Cowboys.
Doc was a monster. He created 2 fumbles that both ended up getting points on the board for the Eagles.
So that was extremely intentional, what you see me doing. Reach, grab, pull, and then punch through the other side, which pulls him up. When you do that to anybody, what do they use for balance? The other arm, so that ball comes out.
They were playing like every play was the last play they would ever play.
They should stop this one out of humanitarian reasons.
Wave the flag.
Your Eagles are going to the playoffs.
That was a beautiful night. 44-6 game at the house, sending Dallas home crying, and we go on to play in the playoffs. Love that.
December 8th, 2013, the Snow Bowl.
The forecast called for a few flurries before the game, but nothing of any substance.
It felt like everything changed in 10 minutes. Like it was a sunny day. I was out there on the field. Perfect day to play football. You go in the locker room, 10 minutes later, it's snowing like crazy, and there's just like a foot of snow on the grass.
It's one of these games that you'll remember forever because the conditions and then the way the Eagles played in that game.
It was heavy snow, and it was very, very sloppy.
Yeah, so there were blowers. I was right. I mean, this looks like a game from like the 70s.
Yeah, the vision in the first half was so bad you couldn't see anything. It was the heaviest snowfall I have ever seen at an Eagles game.
It felt like we were in the backyard just playing football, but the problem is like we're in the NFL and we got to win this game.
On his feet at the 35, Jeremy Ross.
Somehow the Eagles were able to come back from a touchdown by Ross and win that game.
I forgot they returned a punt return for a touchdown.
That was 58 yards.
That was the play where they ran the ball. I don't know who the running back was. I'm like trying to not fall, getting over there. I see the ball pops out somewhere, and then I can't find the ball. Like, oh, there it is, and jump on it. If you could see my face, I'd probably be smiling. Because again, it was just so much fun playing in that game. But yeah, you couldn't really play football. I mean, no one could move.
We couldn't get footing out there. And LaShawn McCoy switched his cleats. He went to the longer ones. Once he did that, he just took off.
He's got running room. Steps over a man. He's at the 20.
Shady McCoy had his game of games. He was a man possessed. It was as if he were wearing snow tires.
Yeah, like second half, we were like, well, we're gonna be all right. For some reason, this snow isn't affecting LaShawn at all.
He gains 217 yards, breaking the all-time record of the great Steve Van Buren.
It was a Shady McCoy day. Simple as that.
The Eagles' all-time rushing record was 205 yards, and Shady has eclipsed it. Foles sneaks.
Nick Foles was so tough in that game. He really was. Nick Foles did everything he had to do to win it.
I don't think there was one fan that left the building because it was such a fun atmosphere.
And how many of you are sorry?
What a
I
treat.
think the answer is none.
That's what's crazy. Like, the amount of snow that came, and right when it came, was just so bizarre, but made for one of the most memorable moments of my career.
September 24th, 2017, Eagles and the Giants. Eagles-Giants games are always close. They got Jake Elliott from the Cincinnati Bengals practice squad. Earlier in the game, he missed an unmakeable field goal.
I had completely forgot I missed a field goal earlier in that game. Being in a new stadium, trying to figure out what the wind does, how it bounces around. So I remember I struck it really well. The wind was actually at my back and off the right, and I absolutely crushed it, and it just leaked left on me.
Hey, Elliot, come on, baby.
That was a funny moment. Someone taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, JP wants to see you." And I remember kind of just stumbling down the sideline, trying to find him and locking eyes with him. He didn't look happy. I just remember him saying, "No more misses, no more misses."
Yeah, I remember JP, man. This is such a great moment to see here where he's like, "Come on, Jake, like, let's go."
It was a funny moment looking back on it, but it was something maybe I needed.
Still, the Eagles continued to battle.
But the Eagles kept pushing and doing everything they possibly could to get back in that game. And it came down to a final drive.
And when it mattered most, Carson Wentz put his team in a position to win.
Wentz fires on the far side. It is caught, stepping out of bounds with 1 second is Alshon Jeffrey.
It was a 17-yard gain, and he needed every inch of it. And into the game came Jake Elliott, a 61-yard field goal attempt, the longest in Eagles history.
Just kind of tried it out there, and it was all a blur, to be honest with you. I don't remember a whole lot of it.
This guy's a superhero if he makes these. I'll give him my game check. He makes it.
Carson Wentz said he was going to give him his game check if he made that field goal because he knew how big that kick was.
We knew our kicker has a big foot, but did I ever think he could kick a 61-yarder? I just remember thinking, put it on Jake. See what he can do.
Wind was moving a little left to right and in the face that day from that end of the field, and it started kind of right half, and knowing that the wind was blowing right, I was just hoping and begging that it was going to stay there, and it hung on by a thread.
And the kick is...
I could tell it had the distance, and it was good!
The place went crazy.
Yeah, I've never seen a field goal kick that far in my life.
The longest kick in Eagles history.
People are running off the sidelines. Everyone's going nuts. I mean, it gives me chills to this day.
I've watched that clip a million times, man, and it never gets old. Get goosebumps every time.
And Jake Elliott was Philadelphia's newest hero.
I still wonder, did Carson give him his game check?
He did come up to me after we talked about it, and between the two of us, we decided that it would go to charity.
After that kick, Jake Elliott will never have to buy a drink in this town ever again.
That was my big intro into Philadelphia, and luckily I've been here since.
January 21st, the NFC Championship game. I remember when Meek Mill came on, everything took off in pregame.
And the whole team comes out dancing. There was a different energy that just felt like it could never be matched.
I just felt like we was ready to go.
It felt like the writing was on the wall before this game even started.
Minnesota that year, they were so good offensively, they had taken apart every defense that they played.
Rudolph makes the catch for a touchdown.
That can put you down big in a game like that when they come out and kind of hit you in the mouth like that.
Silence the crowd real quick. We end up going 3 and out after that, and then they got the ball again.
Takes the snap. Here comes the rush. He's hit, and it's intercepted.
Patrick Robinson came out of nowhere and caught the pick.
Patrick Robinson's interception didn't just tie the score.
Man, that boy Patrick was out.
I remember watching this whole play thinking it was in slow motion. You certainly felt a momentum shift.
Pick 6, that hurt.
Ties the game, but it felt like it was over after this.
For us to go out and get a pick 6 and score on defense to help the offense kind of get going, the momentum shift, and you could just tell that we wasn't going to be denied after that.
They come right back. It's a complete flicker.
It felt like Nick could do absolutely no wrong. Once he got rolling, it felt like everything just worked. This was just electric. This was unbelievable.
Touchdown! Torrey Smith!
Everyone started to sense that this is that moment. We're going to go to the Super Bowl, and it was a feeling that I think we all had. Everyone was already in celebration mode.
The past 7 years I've been here, that was, I think, one of my favorite games I've ever been a part of.
During the preseason of 2004, people were saying that Donovan McNabb is a great quarterback, but he doesn't have great receivers. And the Eagles had the opportunity in free agency to get the best, and that was Terrell Owens.
People were dancing in the streets because T.O. in this offense was going to make a huge difference.
Lincoln Financial Field was roaring when he came out of the tunnel.
It was a thing of beauty watching the two of them work together.
He's going for Owens in the end zone.
Owens almost effortlessly went up and plucked it out of the sky.
He gave Donovan something that he hadn't had to that point. It was a guy that even when he's tight covered, you could throw the ball in his direction, and because he's so strong, so powerful, he can muscle his way through and make the catch.
And now he is looking again, and he throws it, and it is caught. It is caught by Terrell Owens, inches from the ground.
That was T.O.'s move. Well, I started it, but...
Once again, McNabb went to Owens, and this time he had beaten the secondary so badly, but it was just child's play.
You know, as a guy who played the position, I loved watching T.O. play. I think it gave all of us hope and confidence that this was going to be a very good football team.
That kind of athlete.
This was the division semifinals, Eagles and the Green Bay Packers at Lincoln Financial Field.
This is a huge game, obviously. It's a playoff game.
For the second consecutive year, the Eagles entered the playoffs as the NFC's #1 seed.
Brett Favre, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League. He went deep, and he connected. Robert Ferguson making the touchdown catch.
Packers jumped out to like a 14-0 lead, so we were battling back the whole game.
Donovan McNabb ran and set a playoff rushing record in that game. McNabb was amazing that day, but the Eagles were in trouble.
A play known simply as
4th and 26.
In the final quarter, the Eagles were down, and they were in a situation they were down by 3 points, and they found themselves in the unenviable position of being in 4th and 26, and they made it happen. McNabb got good protection. He went for Freddie Mitchell, and it was caught by Freddie Mitchell for a first down.
Donovan hit Freddie Mitchell down the seam, keep the chains moving.
Now, I have to be honest with you. I was sitting in a position where I was looking right down that yard line, and to this day, I am not 100% certain that they picked it up.
We go in to tie the game, and this is the first possession after halftime.
Favre just heaves it. Only Eagles are there, and it's picked off by Dawkins.
I just make sure I caught it. I was trying to get as many yards as possible to get our automatic kicker, Mr. Akers, into a position that he can send us to the next round.
The kick is good. They are 1 win away from their first appearance in the Super Bowl in 23 years.
It's September the 6th, 2018 season opener, and it's the first time that the Lombardi Trophy is coming to Lincoln Financial Field. What a special day that was.
The trophy, the thing that they had envisioned, they had dreamed about for so many years, was theirs.
Some people said the Eagles will need to catch lightning in a bottle before they win a Super Bowl. Well, they did that.
That's awesome.
We will never forget last season, their first Super Bowl championship.
God, Jeffrey was so proud.
You know the words. Sing it loud and sing it proud.
There's nothing like when Brian Dawkins starts to fire up the crowd at Lincoln Financial Field.
Fans singing their favorite Fly Eagles Fly.
It was a phenomenal celebration because we had lost 3 in a row. And to finally win this thing, it was just such an emotional time.
It really just brought me to tears just to finally have that opportunity now to celebrate with all of the people that have poured so much into this franchise, celebrating the fact that we finally did it.
It's just so much fun to watch this again, to relive these moments, to think about how we felt when they brought out the Super Bowl trophy, how we felt just realizing that these were the Super Bowl champions.
Their first Super Bowl championship.
It was great taking a trip down memory lane in Lincoln Financial Field. These are moments that I'll never forget, and I was glad to be a part of them.
That was great. I hope you guys can make that something cool.